Rob Warne's appearance on 90 Day Fiancé left viewers with a lot to unpack. His relationship with Sophie Sierra seemed like it had all the makings of a classic love story, but the reality was much darker. While Rob's emotional post about his son moved many fans, the behind-the-scenes truth of his actions towards Sophie painted a far less flattering picture. The emotional roller coaster of their relationship became one of the most controversial storylines in recent 90 Day Fiancé history. The combination of his recent heartfelt post, revealing a softer side, and his villainous actions towards Sophie led to an overwhelming mixed reception. Rob, who had initially seemed like a somewhat misunderstood character, soon revealed himself to be more manipulative and controlling than anyone expected. In the days following the fallout from his relationship with Sophie, Rob posted something that left fans in a conflicted state. He shared a heartfelt message on social media about his relationship with his son, expressing how much the child meant to him. The post was full of emotion, as Rob described the bond they shared and how it had been one of the driving forces in his life. To many, it was an unexpected side of Rob that had never been shown on the show. "It's amazing how much a little person can change your world," Rob wrote in his post. "I never knew what real love was until I became a father. Every moment with my son is a reminder of what truly matters in life. He's my everything." For many viewers, the post was moving. It seemed to validate Rob as a caring, tender individual who had experienced personal growth. However, it also led to further questions. Could this be the same Rob who had treated Sophie so poorly on 90 Day Fiancé? How could the man who wrote such a loving tribute to his son also be the one who had hurt Sophie so deeply? When Sophie and Rob's relationship first aired on 90 Day Fiancé, it was presented as a love story that had the potential to work. Sophie, who had been through her share of hardships, seemed ready to give Rob a chance. But the reality was far from a fairy tale. Behind the scenes, Rob's actions told a different story. While his on-screen persona was that of a somewhat charming, slightly quirky man, Sophie's off-camera accounts painted a much darker picture. Sophie began to reveal that Rob had been emotionally manipulative and controlling throughout their relationship. He frequently belittled her, questioned her motives, and isolated her from her support network. The relationship, which started with promises of love and support, quickly devolved into one filled with tension and emotional abuse. Sophie began to confide in close friends about Rob's behavior, describing how he would dismiss her feelings and constantly undermine her confidence. As the show progressed, the cracks in their relationship became more apparent. Viewers started to see the extent of Rob's manipulation. Despite these revelations, Rob continued to maintain the facade of being a loving partner on television. He never once took accountability for his actions. Instead, he played the role of a victim, painting Sophie as the villain in their story. This contrast between his social media persona and his treatment of Sophie left fans conflicted, unsure of who Rob really was. It's not uncommon for reality TV stars to receive a villain edit. The producers often highlight certain behaviors to create a storyline that viewers can either love or hate. In Rob's case, the producers seem to embrace this edit, exposing more and more of his manipulative side with each passing episode. Viewers witnessed Rob as a man who was quick to point fingers, but slow to take responsibility. He would accuse Sophie of being overly dramatic or emotional, never acknowledging the emotional toll his behavior had on her. His actions were so toxic that they eventually overshadowed any redeeming qualities he might have had. The most telling moment came during a heated argument between Rob and Sophie, where he not only belittled her, but also gaslighted her into questioning her own reality. He would constantly twist her words, making it seem as if everything was her fault, all while painting himself as the wronged party. It was a classic tactic of emotional manipulation, and the producers couldn't help but highlight it. While Sophie received her own share of criticism for staying in the relationship as long as she did, Rob's portrayal on the show was a stark reminder of why he had earned his villain edit. He had been given a platform to share his side of the story, yet he chose to play the victim, rather than own up to his role in the toxic dynamic with Sophie. As 90 Day Fiancé fans began to see the truth about Rob's behavior, they started to take issue with his newfound fame. Rob's social media posts seemed to perpetuate an image of him as a changed man, someone who had learned from his mistakes. However, this only added to the growing resentment toward him. His attempt to appear more relatable and empathetic felt disingenuous, especially after everything that had been exposed about his treatment of Sophie. Rob's latest post about his son, though undeniably moving, felt like an attempt to soften his image after the backlash from fans. The heartfelt message seemed to serve as a distraction from the accusations of abuse and manipulation that followed him from the 90 Day Fiancé season. Was Rob truly a changed man, or was he simply trying to win back his fan base by showing a more vulnerable side? For many, this was the moment when Rob's true character came into question. Could he really be the man he claimed to be in his post, or was it just another calculated move to win back favor? Fans were divided. Some felt sympathy for him, believing that people can change, and that the love he showed for his son was genuine. Others, however, were less convinced, feeling that Rob's attempts to redeem himself were too little, too late. While Rob's actions were being scrutinized, Sophie began to regain her strength. She had been through a lot during her time with Rob, and it was clear that she was no longer interested in playing the role of the victim. Sophie made it clear in interviews that she was moving forward with her life, determined to rebuild her sense of self-worth and leave the toxicity behind. "I spent too long feeling like I wasn't enough," Sophie said in an emotional post. "But now I know I'm more than enough. I deserve better, and I won't settle for anything less." Sophie's statement resonated with many fans, who praised her for taking control of her narrative and for speaking out about the emotional toll that Rob's behavior had taken on her. She had grown from the experience, learning to set boundaries and prioritize her own happiness. As Sophie continued to heal and move on, fans rallied behind her, offering support and encouragement. In contrast, Rob's attempt at redemption through social media posts was met with skepticism. Many felt that it wasn't enough to make up for the damage he had caused in Sophie's life. In the end, Rob Warne's time on 90 Day Fiancé left an indelible mark on the franchise. His manipulation, emotional abuse, and attempt to play the victim led to his villain edit, something he seemed to embrace even as he tried to change his public image. His emotional post about his son might have been moving, but it didn't erase the toxic behavior he exhibited towards Sophie. Rob's story serves as a reminder that not everything on reality TV is as it seems. While he may have shown a softer side in his recent posts, it's clear that his relationship with Sophie was far more complicated and far more damaging than he was willing to admit. His villainous edit, though uncomfortable to watch, was a reflection of the reality of his actions, and it ultimately defined his time on 90 Day Fiancé. For Sophie, however, the future looks brighter. With her newfound strength and the support of her fans, she's moving forward, leaving the toxicity of her past behind. As for Rob, only time will tell whether his attempts at redemption are genuine or just another chapter in his reality TV story. If you'd like to dive deeper into any specific part of this story or explore further developments, just let me know.